Back at it again, folks. 32 teams in 32 days, kind of. This is Tex from the Backups. I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. Seb Burnett. Seb, go ahead and tell the folks hello.
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 We are here enjoying another great 10 to 15 minute breakdown of another NFL team and what they're going to do in the NFL 2018 NFL Draft. Mm-hmm. Today, we're going to be talking about the Steelers.
Yep, Steelers.
Yeah. I think that's a good time to talk about them. Steelers are coming off of a pretty good season when it seems like every other week they were discussing whether or not Ben Roethlisberger had the will and drive to wake up and get out of bed. And, they have a ton of money to spend this year. And by that, I mean they have next to nothing in free agent cap room.
Yeah, so, and that's even without Le'Veon Bell.
That is completely without Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is just a cluster all in itself.
They would have to get so much money, man. Like that's the problem with having, two of the best position players in the game. Three really, if you're talking about Big Ben as well. It's that takes up so much money.
Yeah, and then you look at who could you cut? Well, you could cut Ryan Shazier, but number one, that would be just ruthless.
You gonna cut his? You gonna cut his spine?
He's already cut his spine himself.
That's fucked up,
dude. We are so bad. We are really horrible people.
No. Mad respect to Ryan Shazier. I've heard he's getting better, and he can move his toes and such. That's good.
Seb, come on, man. That was a low blow. And speaking of low blows. Ryan Shazier would cost relatively nothing against the cap, so we might as well keep him and see if his legs start moving again. In terms of the Steelers in the 2018 NFL Draft, they have the least picks that they've had since 2003. If you're not good at math, 2003...
And Tex needed a calculator for this, guys.
Yes. Okay. 2003 and 2018, there's about a 15-year difference in that. So this year they have 5 picks in the NFL Draft. They have their first 3 rounds. They have a 5th and a 7th round. And while you're looking at the NFL Draft, you're like, hey, there's only 7 rounds, one pick for each round. Having 5 picks is not a lot in an NFL Draft typically. Especially for a team, like this, that
for as good as they are, they still do have needs.
They're
going to start a downswing relatively soon. Like Tex and I were talking about it beforehand, and for sure, I see kind of dark days starting to come for that team once they lose. Le'Veon's gone, and then Big Ben will eventually retire once his leg falls off.
Or his body breaks apart.
Yeah, either one. He gets one too many hits from Vontae's perfect, and then that's the end.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying, as far as needs are concerned, that they should be looking towards the future and possibly picking, an heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger. And I just don't see.
God, not at 28, man. Like it would, because they don't have it. They don't have any draft. They don't have draft capital this year as it is. So unless one of those top 4 quarterbacks inexplicably falls to, later in the first round, I just don't see that happening.
They still have Landry Jones on their roster. And if you, again, I had to do this on a calculator, but if you were to take one of those picks, 1 out of the 5 picks, and use that on a quarterback, that would be 20% of your draft, folks. 20%. So this leads us to a segue talking about Martavis Bryant and the troubled wide receiver for the Steelers, who had a really good first year. He was kind of marred by suspensions for extracurricular activities off the field. But now we kind of get an idea, a little bit of a picture on why they're looking to move on from him. Yeah, it's the off the field issues and even during game frustration, but also it's because they need picks, and if you're looking at their draft, they don't have a 4th round pick, and I think that's the same place that that you and I both felt that Bryant would go as far as a value, a third or a fourth round pick. Seb, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, and we've talked about that. It's kind of, God, if you want to get some draft capital, you got to get rid of him. And I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be happy not being like given a shot being a number one on an offense. I don't think he's ever going to be happy without that opportunity, at least.
And you look at the Steelers; they picked up Juju Schuster last year, and for some reason, the Steelers are just amazing when it comes to picking up offensive weapons, whether it's wide receiver, running back. They've just been really blessed over the years, to pick up skill position players, and they're fortunate to find Juju. They have Antonio Brown that really fell into their lap, and so I think moving on from Brian is definitely a need. As far as needs in the entire draft, I see needs at almost every level on the offense, whether it's offensive line, running back depth. Their quarterback has issues. I think their biggest concern right now is they don't have a lot of draft capital, so they have to be very, very picky at where they spend it. Where do you see some of their needs?
Something I was just thinking about when you were talking, because I rarely listen to what you're actually saying.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I think that number one, we have to look at the Steelers, and I would say that when Big Ben first came into the league, they kind of focused their drafting on a defense, and that's what won them Super Bowls, right? Yep. Like having just Troy Polamalu, and just I can't think of anyone else now.
His hair got in the way of everybody else, but it was Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, exactly.
James Harrison.
James Harrison, just the beast he is, and I don't know. I kind of think they haven't won since they've kind of become an offensively focused team. And you can ask Steelers fans this, they have a moderately good defense. And then they're expected to win through an offense at this point. And I feel like that they're going to get back to the old way. So I see them going inside linebacker to replace Ryan Shazier. It's very typical pick. Rashaan Evans there at 28. I know. Mel Kiper has Leighton Vander Esch from Boise State on there. Yeah, exactly. Look him up. He's a good, solid kid. And then Justin Reed, if you're looking at safety, because, the whole thing is, in today's NFL, in my opinion, you got to have three good safeties. And, and the Steelers have one and a half. So I feel like Justin Reed's a good all-around player, someone that they can get at 28 possibly, because I don't think Ronnie Harrison really fits in what they need at this point. It's entirely possible they get him, but I just didn't want to put that there. Quarterback, no.
Not this year.
Maybe in the second. No, maybe in the second round, second or third, if somebody maybe oh God. I say this with every team, but Mike White.
No, they're not going to spend 20% of their draft picks on a quarterback. It's just not going to happen. I understand the need, but think about it from the franchise's perspective is they really need to concentrate their picks on this one season. They need to concentrate on here, now, and winning today. Picking a quarterback isn't winning today. Picking a quarterback is looking to the future. They are not looking to the future. They're giving Le'Veon Bell the franchise tag. They have Juju Schuster coming into his second year. Jesse James, their tight end, coming into his second year. They have Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, their veteran line, their offensive line that's full of veterans like DeCastro and Pouncey. So I think that they go defense, like you said, to reinforce that old Steeler way. And also because it's kind of need, they had some injuries pop up this year that really crippled them. That it broke the back of the defense, and so I think they go defense, best player available, based upon the first half of this draft being so offensive heavy. with wide receivers, offensive linemen, and quarterbacks, be on the lookout. There's a lot of good defensive talent that's going to be pushed down this board. So
yeah, and I think the Steelers could definitely benefit from that because, I mean, it's hard not to say that they can't pick good defensive talent. You know, Ryan Shazier was probably one of the best inside linebackers in the league, if not the best. But you know, it was just a freak accident that he got hurt, and they've made some good picks with Bud Dupree as well. So I definitely feel like they could hit on somebody. As you were saying, there's going to be a lot of defensive talent at the back end of this draft for them to feast on, hopefully.
I see the Steelers, they're really good at picking defensive talent early on in the draft, and they make their money picking offensive weapons later on and not using that capital at, you know, those such high picks. So,
right. Do you see them possibly going running back?
No. I think, again, that's a little bit of a cliche move, especially, you know, when you're tying up so much money with Le'Veon Bell. And they do have there's running backs available that you could sign, which historically, if you look at the Steelers, they've been very open to signing veteran free agents, whether it's LeGarrette Blount a few years ago. They have Stephen Ridley on the roster. They've had Chris Ivory at one time on the roster. So they're completely open to signing veteran free agent running backs, and there's definitely going to be some that hit the market. I wouldn't be surprised if they signed AP. Seriously,
that's very true. You know, they have the offensive line for it, and
he is still walking, and he still wants to play. Hell, they could sign Frank Gore. I mean, listen, you think it's blasphemous to say Frank Gore? He wants to come back and play another year. And who's to tell him he can't? Because yet again, he had another 1,000-yard season. So
yeah, and he looked good. Like if you watched him, he looked good. It's just, you know, the Colts are going, and the Colts could just re-sign him. Who knows? I mean, yeah, they like Marlon Mack, and I mean, a lot of people like Marlon Mack. Hell, I sure as hell do. So it'll just depend on what's available. That's the whole thing with the tail end of the draft, though, man, is that you just never know. There's so much jumping around and teams trading in and back and people dropping. I mean, yeah, who knows when a picture of you is going to surface when you're wearing, you know, taking a bong hit.
No, it's just completely fine because, you know, nowadays it's legal in half the states anyways.
Yeah. I mean, no, for sure. I think that they should just be able to smoke if they want to.
I think they should be able to smoke during a game. Like, chill the fuck out. You got to kick a field goal to win the game. Hit a bong before you go out there, dude. You see that? You'll be laughing, you know? Like, you just missed the game winner, guys.
Steven Gostkowski is just like sitting on the sideline. He and Bill are just sharing a blunt real quick before he goes out there. He's like blowing smoke rings as he's walking out there, like the kicker in The Replacements.
Exactly like the kicker in The Replacements. What a good movie too.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, but as usual, this is our thoughts. We are not experts. We are sexperts. That's right. We have sexting down pat. But we want to know what you think.
It's because we practice.
We practice sexting each other. Seb, stop sexting me. What's her name? Jake from State Farm. Anyways, nice. What are you guys thinking, though? Tell us your thoughts. What do you think is the Steelers' biggest need heading into the 2018 NFL Draft? Please don't say quarterback because that's 20% of their picks. Please don't say running back because that's 20% of their picks. Be smart about this. They're heading into the twilight years of this current roster. What do you honestly think the biggest needs for the Steelers are? Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on MySpace. I mean, hell, you can be in our top 5.
Yeah, you can see my cool old music I used to do on MySpace. Not really.
You never did music.
You've been listening to the Backups Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, find us on iTunes, and visit the website at www.thebackups.com with a Z for more.